This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Boy, oh boy. So night one is in the books. I'm a little bit late to the party here. I was traveling, as I mentioned earlier in the week. So my review of night one is not exactly timely as I speak. Night two is, wrapping up. So I haven't seen anything of night two. Well, I've seen a few spoilers, but big expectations. We'll see if they come true. Obviously, by the time you hear this, you'll know whether or not the rumors of Brock Lesnar and or The Rock or both are true or false, or if they were just red herrings put out there by clickbait sites to get people excited about something that was nothing more than to get you to go to their site. So we'll see if that comes true. Only you know. I don't at this point, but we'll talk about night one in its entirety, obviously led by the story of Seth Rollins returning, cashing in, and winning the World Heavyweight Championship from CM Punk. An outcome that some of us did predict, at least in the possibility of outcomes. I did say here that this was definitely one of them, that CM Punk would return, or I'm sorry, Seth Rollins would return and screw CM Punk, as Seth Rollins has made it his life's mission to make sure that CM Punk is never World Heavyweight Champion. So that is something that did happen. It was all a ruse, and it was a ruse because of the fact that they didn't follow up. If they had followed up with some timetable for his return and treated it like a real injury, like either do it or don't, I know so many people were surprised, and I was happy to see Seth, but if they wanted more people to be fooled, then go all in. If you're going to make a real injury situation as real as possible, then you have to pretend it's a real injury and do what you would normally do. Follow the protocol of a real injury. They did that for the actual match. The way Seth landed on his knee looked totally fine, which is where I was skeptical to begin with. Although I did say I thought it was real up until my prediction show where I said, I don't think it's real anymore, because they did not give a timetable for a return. We talked about the swelling that apparently just never went down, and Seth is going on about, he went on a talk show and talked about how, he's just aiming for WrestleMania to be back. And Paul Heyman said it's going to be a, quote, very long time. But we just couldn't get an MRI. We couldn't get an MRI because he just couldn't get any kind of, his swelling wouldn't go down. And that's where they tripped up. So if WWE wants to fool us again, you got to go through with it. That was a very, very important detail that they missed. However, the result is Seth Rollins did return, and he did cash in, and we'll get into that in a moment. First, I want to welcome you to the show. If you haven't been here before, thank you so much. This is the WWE Podcast. I do appreciate you being here. If you want to go ad-free and you hear the ads throughout the show and you just don't want to deal with them anymore, you can head over to Apple Podcast and click that subscribe button, or you can go to patreon.com/WWE Podcast and give yourself an ad-free experience with a 7-day free trial as well. $1 a month gets you in the door. So check it out if you don't want to hear the ads anymore, and support the show and join a community that loves wrestling, most importantly. So night two tomorrow night. The review anyway will be coming to tomorrow night. Again, I've been traveling, which is why you haven't heard from me. Not exactly good timing with the travel, but hey, family. I can't say, hey, listen, I got SummerSlam. You and the kids go do your thing. Look, I got to watch SummerSlam. So it's difficult. But here I am, and I enjoyed SummerSlam overall. I would say that the night one SummerSlam was better than WrestleMania night one. I'll give you that. I know they've heard a lot of people make those comparisons. I would concur with those. I don't think that there's any dispute that night one was better than night one WrestleMania. But let's get into it. Let's get into it as the Jets flew over the stadium. God bless America. And Cole listed the attendance of the 38th SummerSlam as being north of 50,000. and he said it was 77 degrees. So in case you were wondering and keeping track at home. And then the hype for Cardi B appearing at SummerSlam faded in the weeks leading up here because Cardi B did come out. And once she's in the ring, she yelled about it being a 2-night SummerSlam, and she asked the fans if they like Logan Paul. And she asked about Randy Orton, and it's horrible. I don't give a damn about Cardi B. I don't particularly like anything she does on any level, but I'll leave it there. So Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed opened the show. Yes, this opened the show. And this match, my gosh, it went 21 minutes. Yeah, I figured it was north of 20 minutes. It felt like it at times. And the finish was Breaker going for a spear, Reigns shoving his cousin out of the way, taking the spear, Jey fired up, speared Reed, and then hit him with an Uso splash for the win. Protecting Braun Breaker, as they should have here, if you're going to give the loss to the up-and-coming team here, you're going to do it with a guy that is taking second place because, let's be honest, Braun Breaker is number one. Bronson Reed is number two. They need to do a little back-end work with Bronson Reed. I feel like he's being forgotten a little bit here, but he's the right person to take the fall if that team is going to take a loss. And Ray and Jay are victorious. It was a high-intensity match. Crowd was super into this. We had some fun spots here. Breaker going to the floor, and of course there was Superman punch thrown in here. Reigns speared Breaker through the barricade into the Timekeepers area. So that was good too. And Reigns and Jay teamed up for a 1D on Bronson Reed. That was a good spot, reminiscent of Jimmy and Jay. So good. And Braun Breaker wasn't hurt in the least by this because, to be honest with you, this loss is going to be forgotten because of the Seth Rollins victory, who has now made his group whole again. So fun match, and seeing Roman Reigns sacrifice himself for his cousin was also a big deal, because how many times have you seen Roman do the sacrificing? It's nice to see. So I liked it. I thought this was a nice open of the show. No big returns here, but anytime there's a opening match, really anywhere up and through the first 75% of the show, you're not going to have any usually any massive earth-shattering returns, and we didn't get it here. I know that at some point there were predictions Brock Lesnar on night one could show up, and he didn't here, and that's fine with me. I don't think we needed it by any means. They told the story, and I think at this point, Jay and Roman are going to go their separate ways. I don't see them being a mainstay tag team of any kind. So Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez take on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Jessica Carr was the referee here, and the match did end up going 13 minutes and 30 seconds with the predictable outcome here, but the right outcome, with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair beating Raquel and Roxanne to win the women's tag team titles. There was a moment where Flair was accidentally hit by Alexa Bliss, who stood there in disbelief and was remorseful, of which they almost lost the match at that point. But they didn't. The finish was Perez clearing Bliss from the ring, Roxanne hitting a Tejada bomb on Charlotte. Perez followed up with a Pop Rocks, and got the pin, but Bliss hit a running blockbuster to break up the pin. A nice false finish there. And then Bliss set up Perez for his sister Abigail. Flair ran towards Bliss, but hit a charging Rodriguez with a big boot, and Bliss followed through with her sister Abigail and pinned Roxanne for the victory. So the right victory here, the right... I think it was the right call. You have to have Charlotte and Alexa continue on this path. That has been very beneficial for both of them. They have both been in need of one another. This is not a long-term deal. I actually hope that whenever this breakup happens, that they don't end up having a match out of it. I don't need to see Charlotte versus Alexa. I don't care who the heel and babyface is. I don't have a need for it. I just enjoy them as a team. I enjoy them as a team because they're two individuals who are established big stars in the company that have both been in need over the last several months of some kind of foothold of where they're going. And for Charlotte, being in the women's division and chasing the women's title is something that the fans just are just tired of outright by default. With Alexa, she has been given almost nothing of significance to do. She has not joined the Wyatt Six, as many speculated. She has not won any major matches. She has not won any major championships. And she's right now in a position to team with Charlotte, and they have worked out well. The chemistry has been nice on camera. I've generally enjoyed everything that they brought to the table, and it's been fun. And as long as Charlotte stays off the mic, I think she'll be fine. People just don't want to hear her voice. I think it's that simple at times. So good selection here. Good booking. So we then got Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross with Scarlett, of course. A much shorter match here. This match went 8 minutes and 10 seconds. And this match was okay. Not to the level that I was hoping for. Yeah, sure, they weren't given enough time. But and this is maybe a little bit of a hot take, and not a hot take just to be controversial and get clicks or to rile people up. I don't think Karrion Kross in the ring is as good as I think he should be. I like his personality. He's a good talker. He's shown glimpses of potential. I think he's an asset to the company. I think there is a cult following for him that WWE is testing the waters to see how deep that runs and how much support fans are willing to give him consistently. And they're doing a little bit of a litmus test with him. And Sami Zayn has been a great opponent for him because Sami Zayn is so damn good in the ring. But Karrion Kross he's okay. Karrion Kross has not yet shown he can put on and do his part for a great match. Now, in today's world of what defines a great match and what doesn't, your definition may also vary. But it's very clear who the higher capacity wrestler is. And that's Sami Zayn. Karrion Kross is more limited in the ring. He's older, yes. But none was more prevalent than when he went for the exploder suplex and Karrion Kross barely got, over and in the corner. And I'm not crapping on Karrion Kross. Again, I think there is still potential there that they could do something with and see what's there. But with Sami Zayn outright beating Kross here with the haluva kick, 1, 2, 3, and Karrion Kross looking down or being stood over by Sami and Sami saying we're done and then leaves. This could be, well, it is it for Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. I think people are ready to move on from that particular rivalry. Does that mean Sami Zayn is going to move to the world title picture? Perhaps. You could have Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins, of which right now Seth Rollins is in no position to drop that world title. The world title has been going through a little bit of a hot potato phase here, which is unusual for the Triple H regime because we've gone from Gunther just prior to WrestleMania, who had a 8-9 month run with it. And then Jey Uso stupidly won it at WrestleMania. I don't, and that's not Monday morning quarterbacking. You guys can go back and listen. I was not a fan of Jey Uso winning at WrestleMania. I thought Gunther should continue. And I ended up being right, and many others did too, because WWE quickly corrected course in a couple of months, going back to Gunther. So it went from Gunther to Jey to Gunther. Now to Punk, who won the match. We'll get to that. And then to Seth Rollins. So what, like it changed hands 4 or 5 times in the matter of 2 months? 2.5 months? No, I'm sorry. If we're going back to WrestleMania, 4 months. That's a lot. 4 times in 4 months. That's a lot. Okay? So now that's not typical for Triple H. They just, I think, realized this ain't working with Jey, and they added a few title changes there that they wouldn't have otherwise had to do had they just kept it on Gunther. But nonetheless, my point about this is Sami Zayn could challenge Seth Rollins for the world title, have some great matches. Ultimately, Sami Zayn is not going to end up winning. Now, they could build Sami from this They could end up having a story all the way through the Royal Rumble of Sami Zayn qualifying for the Rumble. He's already a favorite, and so Seth isn't challenged by Sami up until the point that Sami wins the Rumble, and it could be Sami versus Seth at WrestleMania. That's not so impossible. That's really not impossible. If you're going to go with the underdog, kind of Daniel Bryan-esque feel, which is exactly the feeling that fans get with Daniel Bryan as they do with Sami Zayn, not just because of the beards and the similarities physically, but just that organic connection they have. You know, that connection that can't be taught. It's just there. Sami Zayn has that Daniel Bryan feeling. So I think that they could capitalize on that to the point where fans are that story that's been planted over the last several months of Sami being told he'll never be champion. You will be champion. You won't be champion. You'll never be a world champion. This could be the start of that run up to Rumble and Mania for Sami. It could be. I don't know what their long-term plans are, but the foundation is there, and the support is there for Sami Zayn. So, we'll see. All right, so then we have an ad air for Survivor Series in San Diego, and of course, it's going to feature War Games. Then we had Cole hype AAA Mania for August 16th, and then Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. My God. All right. So this match was fast. All right. 7 minutes. But that's your typical Jade Cargill match. Their goal with Jade has been and continues to be protect her, hide her weaknesses, flaunt her strengths. And that's really what a lot of wrestlers, the goal is in production, to make sure that your strengths are magnified, your weaknesses are mitigated. Makes sense. But with Jade, it is even more accentuated because she's much more limited in the ring than many of the other women. And her matches have not been extraordinarily long unless they're a tag team match, in which case, yeah, you've got another partner to lean on to do a lot of the work. But I have been, and you guys know, I've been critical of Jade, but I've also been a supporter, rooting her on from the sidelines. I want to see her succeed because I see what WWE sees in her. Her physique is what got her to where she is. It certainly isn't the mic skills. It certainly isn't in-ring. It is simply her look that has gotten her this far, and that's pretty damn impressive for simply just looking the part. She's not god-awful in the ring. She has shown improvement. Her best moment, I continue to say, was Elimination Chamber this past year. But since then, it has not really manifested itself into a long-term run where fans are ready to embrace her. And the biggest part of all of that, fans could excuse you not being a instant 5-star, automatic instant 5-star classic in the ring every single time you get in. Fans can excuse that if they have a connection with you. And it's becoming very apparent now that WWE is acknowledging the fact that she has no connection with the fans. And I'm sure she is just befuddled by this. She probably, at a real level, a human level, she's like, I don't get it. These fans are so fickle. I'd love to put some truth serum in her. Because I'm sure she is just thinking to herself, you guys should look at the way I look. You guys should just cheer me. It's as if she just doesn't seem to get it. Now, the match was okay. Tiffany Stratton beats Jade in 7 minutes after hitting her finish, the prettiest moonsault ever. And by the way, Cole put out not hilarious, but a very interesting stat. I love when he does this. Cole is just, I'm really taking a liking to Cole over the last several years now. And if you haven't seen, and this is just going to promote another podcast, I don't care because it's much more successful than mine. So it doesn't really have any effect on anything. But the Impulsive podcast, Jake Paul, right? Logan Paul, I'm sorry. He spoke with Michael Cole in his latest show. Phenomenal. You get to hear from Michael Cole in a way that you never do. Highly recommended if you want to know more about Michael Cole. And I think he'll earn a little bit more of your respect if you listen to it. He's just, incredible. But Cole said that Stratton is 14-0 in 2025. Did anyone else know that? Did anyone else bother to bring that up? It's quite impressive. that he brings that up. Not necessarily the record, although that is on paper. More the fact that Cole knows and thinks to bring these things up. So, great stat, though. But Tiffany wins and retains. And I think it's fine. The question is, where do they go with Jade from here? The answer is simple. It's really simple. Rebuild her. It's not rocket science. It's not easy, but it's simple. The fans need to know who you are. And the fans have no idea who Jade is, other than she's got an incredible physique and she knows to say that a storm's coming. That's it. And that has been all she's been. From a connection standpoint, not in ring, she's improved there. But where it counts, where fans need to feel something for you, that has not changed. Or has changed very little since day one. That's a problem, and it's coming back to bite her in the ass now. And WWE acknowledged that, I think, by this loss. All right. So then we get Jelly Roll and Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Match was, I got to say, Jelly Roll, I've been critical of celebrities coming in, but Jelly Roll continues to impress. And sure, did he look like a natural out there? No. I mean, you have one of the best of all time in the ring, for God's sakes, in Randy Orton. And Drew McIntyre, who in his own right is a walk-in Hall of Famer. Logan Paul, who is 5.5 years ahead of his time, in one of the most pure athletes, if not the purest athlete WWE has on its roster. And then you have a guy named Jelly Roll. It's difficult to criticize Jelly Roll because of the fact that he has clearly put in a ton of time and effort into losing weight, getting in shape, making sure he doesn't hurt himself or his opponents. And he has done that. And I give him a hell of a lot of credit for doing that and taking it seriously. The bump he took with Logan Paul, and sure, did he look a little awkward laying on the table waiting for Logan Paul to just splash through him and he's adjusting himself? Yeah. But we see that with wrestlers today. Adjusting themselves to make sure they're in perfect position for the and that's fine. And we see that with actual day-to-day, day-in, day-out wrestlers. And Jelly Roll did it too, and it's fine. I give him credit. I'm happy that he got Claymored by Drew. That was just funny to see. Jelly Roll gets Claymored by Drew McIntyre. I was waiting for it. I got it. I was happy. Randy Orton RKO was also expected on Drew McIntyre. And as expected by many, Drew and Logan did end up beating Jelly Roll and Randy Orton, though. I thought it would be the opposite, but the finish was this. Paul went to the ropes to hit Jelly with a elbow. And then Jelly Roll slammed Logan Paul from the ropes to the mat, which was pretty decent. He had the pin, but McIntyre broke it up. Orton took out McIntyre with an RKO, but then Logan Paul ran Orton into the ring post. Paul hit Jelly Roll with a frog splash and got the 3 count. So pretty good. Again, it's really it almost never happens where celebrities come in and they lose. So I also give him credit for that. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He did not embarrass himself. He did not embarrass the company. It's difficult to not compare him to the greats in the, and I say greats, lumping Logan Paul in there, but I understand he's still kind of new. But Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre are some of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. I mean, I think they are. So when you put Jelly Roll in there and he's side by side with some of these guys, you're going to see a lot of flaws and weaknesses and limitations. But in the pantheon of celebrity wrestlers that have come in over the decades in WWE, he has to be towards the top. Bad Bunny may only be the one that has, I think, surpassed him. There have been others, but I think Bad Bunny is number one in terms of just very shocked by the ability of that person. Jelly Roll to me is number 2, and I can't take that away from him. I mean, sure. Does he have the body of a wrestler? No. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. I just need to see that you have respect, and he did. I just need to see that you're willing to take a bump, and he did. The fact that he lost, when's the last time a celebrity comes in? Bad Bunny, I don't think. Did Bad Bunny ever do that? Maybe he did. Come in and lose? That is rare. So, nothing but respect for what Jelly Roll has done. I don't know if we'll see him again. I would think that this may not be the end of it for Jelly Roll and Logan Paul. That's where he's focusing his efforts with the story here is Logan Paul and Jelly Roll. So we'll see if something comes of that down the line. All right, then Cole hyped Clash in Paris for August 31st. So don't blink. Another PLE comes to us at the end of the month. And then Cole narrated footage of Paul Levesque at the White House for a ceremony that reintroduced the presidential physical fitness test. And yeah, I know that a lot of people booed that, but what do you expect? It's politics and wrestling. At a wrestling event, it's not going to mix. So there was that. Then we had the fans chanting for CM Punk after a video package aired about the Gunther and CM Punk matchup. And the match ended up going 30 minutes and 20 seconds. 30 minutes. I have to say, this match, Punk continues to show that he's got a lot left in the tank. And Gunther, by the way, him being busted open, was that the hard way? I know he landed on the announce table, but did something on the announce table cut him? Or was that on purpose? I honestly don't. I haven't dove into that. Obviously, it looks like Gunther's okay, but if the blood was not on purpose, then that was a gift from the wrestling gods. I love when there's blood by accident. Of course, as long as the wrestler's in a safe place and they're not gushing blood or hit an artery or cut themselves on something that's dangerous, or you know what I mean. Like if it's essentially an unintentional blade job, I love that stuff. I just do. So I don't know if it was intentional or not, but either way, I enjoyed that part of it with Gunther getting bloody and getting Punk in the sleeper, and then Gunther getting hit with the GTS and standing there, and then another GTS, and 1, 2, 3. Now, of course, I don't mean to be short selling the rest of the match. That had some really fun spots. This match was physical. I loved the pacing of this match. There wasn't a lot of high flying stuff. It showed you can ground and pound and have a match that doesn't need to go 400 miles an hour. I am always a big fan of that. We had some old school moves here. Moves that you don't see a whole lot. It felt at times like a chain wrestling match. We had Punk catch Gunther in a triangle. Gunther slips out of it. Went for a Boston Crab. Punk kicked him away. Gunther blasted Punk with a chop to the back. He ducked out of a sleeper attempt and put Gunther down with a Russian leg sweep. I'm reading a part that I enjoyed. Punk caught Gunther with a high knee in the corner and then bulldogged him for a 2 count. Excellent set of maneuvers here. Very good variety. They're telling a great story here. I enjoyed the hell out of this match. Credit to both men. Was it a little bit long in the tooth, as they say? Yeah, I guess by today's standards, they were halfway to an Iron Man match. They were halfway from a true Iron Man match. So just put it in context like that. But I enjoyed the hell out of this. So, yeah, he gets the GTS twice, and 1, 2, 3, and the crowd exploded. Now, before we get to the rest of it, which is really what most people are talking about, and we will here in a minute, but Gunther losing again. That's hey, there's no shame in losing, I guess, to CM Punk, albeit he is a bit aged at this point. But CM Punk is still one of the top guys in the company, love or hate him. Whatever you think of him, he just is. And Gunther is still an up-and-coming star. He still is. He hasn't even seen his best days yet. And Gunther continues to lose on big stages. Now, you could turn it around and say, well, that's a compliment to him that he's giving the baby faces a big stage to beat somebody like him. I understand that. But now Gunther has lost at WrestleMania, and he's lost at SummerSlam, and he lost the title on both stages. Not good. The aura of Gunther being an unbeatable monster, as I always used to say, an unbeatable, he's got the look of a war general. The unbeatable war general is no longer. It's going to take some time to repair Gunther if they want to get him back to that. Now, I know people think, well, well, people just kind of view him that anyway. I don't anymore, which is kind of a shame. I'm a massive Gunther fan. Huge. I love everything he does and says and the way he treats the business. I love it. Since day one when he was with Imperium, I loved it. And I still do. But they have done some damage to his character where he has now lost, just in the last 4 months, lost at their 2 biggest PLEs in the main event. Concerning. But that's how, again, you could turn it around and say, well, then he's still in the main event. He's still champion. He's, dropping the belt to a babyface. But I think if you're going to kind of do some repair work here on Gunther, what I would do, I wouldn't give him the belt back. He may be involved in the title match, but he's not getting the belt back anytime soon. Have him just go on a tear. Kind of a Brock Lesnar-esque tear. Where he starts to lose his cool. Beating people up backstage. Beating people up, beating the announcers up. Beating the timekeepers up. We haven't seen Gunther really lose it and snap yet. And I know that it's not his thing, but that's what would make it so shocking is that's not how Gunther is. He's normally very collected, very kind of put together, controls his emotions, saves it for the match. That would be, and it may turn Gunther babyface. It very well may. And I haven't heard any need to do that or people clamoring for Gunther to be a babyface, but the Gunther babyface character, how about that? What do you guys think of that? That might turn him babyface. People love to see when someone snaps and just starts kicking people's asses randomly. It might actually turn him babyface, but that's beside the point here. So let's get to what actually happened beyond what I want to happen down the line. Punk wins the title. He beats Gunther in 30 minutes and 20 seconds. After the match, Punk was in tears. The referee knelt next to him and handed him the belt, and Punk was clutching it. People were excited. And then he held the belt up and Seth Rollins' music hits. People lost their minds, cheering. And as I've said, Seth may be a massive heel in the company right now and continues to be. But people will forever cheer for a cash-in because it's an exciting moment. So you're not going to boo it. You're going to cheer it. I don't care who it is. It won't matter. It will not matter who comes out and cashes in because that person will be cheered for. The crowd in person will cheer for that moment. And we certainly heard that last night. So Seth comes out. He had his crutches, walking on stage, pointing to the Money in the Bank briefcase that Paul Heyman was holding, seemingly just telling Punk, hey, don't forget, I'm still around. Once this leg heals, don't forget I'm Mr. Money in the Bank. And then he turns around, slowly walks back, pauses, and you knew at that moment, yeah, here we go. Stands up, throws the crutches away, and then comes to the ring, and bam, here we go. So he ends up, this quote-unquote match here between CM Punk and Seth Rollins didn't last long. It was about 10 seconds, right? But Rollins turns around, as I said, and runs to the ring. Punk went for the GTS, but Rollins elbowed his way free, and he threw a few punches at Punk, and then hit him pretty brutally with the briefcase. Handed the case to the referee, and then wham, hit the stomp, and we have a new champion. A new World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. And I have to say, it was an exciting moment. They tried to make it the heist of 2025, 10 years later, even though it wasn't WrestleMania, which happened in 2015, where it was the heist of the century. Seth Rollins tried to recreate it 10 years later here. He's, swinging the belt over his head, and they knew what they were doing. That's fine. The heist of the century, we'll never forget it. I mean, that's shock to everybody. And so this is the heist of the summer, whatever they want to label it, market it as. But it was really good. I mean, really good. Not the match with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Of course, that was just 10 seconds. But the booking here was really good. It had some people guessing. It had some people wondering. It had some people speculating. And it ended up being Seth Rollins' injury was a farce. It was a farce. Now, as I said, they could have tightened up their believability in this faux injury with the ways I talked about earlier. But still, nonetheless, a hot main event with a very good finish. People are going crazy over it. You know, you're going to want to tune into Monday Night Raw to see what Seth Rollins says and why he did what he did. And even though, remember LA Knight, how he got the victory? Remember LA Knight beat Seth Rollins that night. And so why would he allow LA Knight to get the victory? We'll hear that, I'm sure, on Monday Night Raw. So it's going to be a must-see show on Monday night with Seth Rollins and getting the explanation. And Seth's group. While I've enjoyed Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed's solo, I really have, and I got used to that pretty quickly. Seth Rollins being brought into the fold can only help. It's going to help a lot. And I think Seth is going to hold that belt, hell, maybe even through WrestleMania. That belt needs to find a home for a while. It's been, as I've mentioned, batted back and forth over the last 4 months. It needs to settle and just kind of dig its heels in for a while. And I think Seth Rollins is the perfect place to do it. Perfect guy to do it. Now the question is, who's going to be the babyface that chases Seth Rollins? Again, it could be Sami Zayn. He could be off the bat. It could be Gunther and another. I mean, it's got to be Gunther and somebody else, right? I mean, Gunther and someone else, because Gunther, if he stays heel, going against a heel Rollins, obviously the chemistry doesn't work there, right? The math doesn't math. You need to have a babyface involved. So CM Punk is absolutely going to be involved. And even more interesting than Seth's explanation as to what he did, why he did what he did, is going to be CM Punk's reaction to what Seth Rollins did. That's something I'm sure we will all be listening to very closely. So, in a very enjoyable night one, I don't think there's really a ton to complain about. A great way to cap it off. We'll see what happens tonight. As I mentioned, by the time you listen to this, you already know what happened. So I'll be commenting on that tomorrow night. I'll be doing a review for SummerSlam Night 2 tomorrow. Normally Mondays I take off and post a retro show, but no. I can't do that with Night 2 of SummerSlam taking place right now, and seemingly what's going to be a massive night. As Paul Levesque did say to the crowd, you ain't seen nothing yet, alluding to Night 2. So that does lead you to believe The Rock is going to somehow be involved, you would think. Although you never know what the hell is going to happen with The Rock anymore. What he's going to be involved in and not involved in, and start and then walk away from and say, well, it's not about me, even though I'm the one that started it. I'm the catalyst for this whole thing. I'm just going to walk away. And so we'll have to see. Or does John Cena double down? I meant to say that this whole babyface turn on SmackDown for John Cena. Again, I have not seen SummerSlam Night 2. Keep that in mind. John Cena turning babyface on SmackDown and giving Cody Rhodes what he wants, the old John Cena, could very well be a setup for a double down heel turn for John Cena. Where I'm getting this is there is historical precedent for this. If you remember, those of you that are old enough, Stone Cold Steve Austin, biggest babyface the WWE and professional wrestling has ever seen ever. I would argue that to the grave. Turned heel at WrestleMania 17. And then the months went by, and eventually there was the invasion of WCW. Vince McMahon needed the quote-unquote old Stone Cold. Almost verbatim, using the same story here. Vince wanted the old Stone Cold so that he could ward off the WCW ECW invasion. And he finally did get the old Stone Cold. A very famous clip is Austin coming in and quote-unquote parting the Red Sea, giving 8 stunners out, clearing the ring, and joining the Team WWF just before the Invasion pay-per-view. Then, at the Invasion pay-per-view, when he led Team WWF, he turned on his team, costing his team the match, specifically turning on Kurt Angle, costing his team the match, joining WCW in the ECW faction. So we could see very much the same dynamic here, recycled 20 years later. I don't know what to make of it yet. I don't want them to play games, though. The difference is Austin wasn't retiring at that time. It was still 2001. John Cena is retiring in a couple of months, and I think they would be just still fighting an upstream battle by doing this. There's just no need to fool around and double down. And, oh, we tricked you. He's still a heel. It's just not good for anybody. It's not good for anybody. We don't need it. Don't try to double down at this point. If John Cena was 10 years younger and they wanted to have a run with this, then yeah, I could see this being a little bit more reasonable to do. But let's not fool around. John Cena is going to be leaving in 4 months. Okay. Let's just not screw around and have John Cena freaking just stay the babyface that we all remember and know and love. Okay. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for the review. Now, I do have a couple of emails that I want to get to here, because let's do it here. I have an email and one voicemail we'll get to, and then we'll roll out the show and call it a night. And again, you'll hear from me tomorrow night. So let's see here. We've got Chris from DC. He says, I know this won't be read until the next mailbag. Well, surprise. I'm going to read it now. Here's a pipe dream of prediction for SummerSlam. Maybe Cody and Cena sharing a beer on SmackDown wasn't just a quick olive branch and tribute to Hulk, since it was his brand. But maybe it was also a foreshadowing for Stone Cold Steve Austin to make an appearance. First, because Cody and Cena sharing a beer just seems off for their characters. But I don't think Cody turns heel. I think either he and Cena both stay face, or only Cena turns. Either way, Travis Scott and The Rock interfere with the match, and if that happens, help will be needed, and that has to be Stone Cold. That would make good on WrestleMania 40 he missed, and also WrestleMania 41 The Rock missed. A long shot this happens, but a fun one. Also, just to hit the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm sticking with Seth Rollins' injury being a work and him cashing in. WWE has to make this huge turnout to justify keeping SummerSlam a 2-night event, so I think we'll see a lot of overbooking in the best way. Hope you enjoyed SummerSlam. Well, thank you, Chris from DC. Well, you were right about the second part. As far as the work of Seth Rollins' injury, it was a work. And it absolutely was. And we'll see if you're right about Stone Cold at SummerSlam. I have my doubts. Stone Cold is a special attraction of the highest level, and I think he still should just be reserved for WrestleManias. But if that happens, hell, you're not going to have any objection from me. I'm the biggest Stone Cold fan there is, and I have no objections to that. That's how it should have ended to begin with. As I've said, you cannot tell me that Austin coming out, which should have happened at WrestleMania 41, to stun The Rock would not have been a hilarious, awesome throwback to years gone by from one of the best rivalries, if not the most successful rivalry the company's ever seen. All right. Yeah, I hope you're right. All right. So thank you, Chris. And one more email, and then we'll get to a one voicemail. So this is from Darius. He says, just want to say I'm loving the podcast. Why is WWE making Ludwig Kaiser be El Grande Americano? I don't like this, as he and such other people such as Otis or Austin Theory have lots of potential. If I was Triple H, I would have given Ludwig the Intercontinental Championship already. He's a great heel. Also, what will happen to Paul Heyman and his thugs while Seth is gone? It seems more and more like it's a work, but still on the side it's real. Well, I don't have to answer that question because it was a work. But as far as Ludwig Kaiser, he hasn't ever really gained momentum. He broke off from Gunther. Gunther gave him a pep talk backstage, remember, several months ago, I should say, 6 months ago maybe. And you're thinking, okay, maybe Gunther can whip him into shape and get him on the right path, and nothing ever came of it. Kaiser he looks great. He works great. He just is kind of in a Jade Cargo situation where he doesn't know, or they don't know, or collectively they don't know what to do with his connection with the fans. Who is he? What is he? Why should the fans care who and what you are? Basic questions. And I don't think Kaiser has connected quite yet with the fans. But he's working under another's identity. You know what? It's better than having him not work at all. But he's, of course, just playing someone else, which is the second worst, right? All right, let's get to a voicemail. I think this is the Joe Hendry report, and after this, we will wrap it up for the Night 1 review.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take it to my 55th episode of the George Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Before we get to today's episode, I must mention something very exciting that I'll be a part of this coming Saturday. And it's not SummerSlam, even though it's in New Jersey. I will be going to my first Mets home game. That's right, at Citi Field, the New York Mets will be facing the San Francisco Giants. And this will be my first time going to Citi Field. I know it's happening at the same time at SummerSlam, but I had to make the decision whether to go to SummerSlam and kick out probably $600 or just go to a Mets home game, and I only had to pay about $92. And I'm getting good seats near the dugout, so this will be my first experience going to Citi Field to watch the New York Mets. This time as they take on the San Francisco Giants. I have been a long-time Mets fan since the late 90s when I was a little kid, and I'm going to my first Mets home game at Citi Field. I don't know what to expect. I know it's going to be a lot of food and a lot of festivities and a lot of Mets fans. And if you're going to be in Queens or maybe around that area, maybe we can meet up. But anyway, it should be a great time just to see the New York Mets face the San Francisco Giants. The New York Mets right now, they have one game lead over the Philadelphia Phillies in the National League East as they make their push to the playoffs, because I think this year the Mets can go all the way to the World Series. But anyway, let's get back to the Joe Hendry report as we get to episode 55, as we took it to what took place last week on a live episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, as this was the fallout from TNA Slammiversary. This was a live episode from Kingston, Rhode Island, as now it looks like the rivalry continues between NXT and TNA. But we got this main event match on this episode of TNA Pro Wrestling of Mike Santana versus Joe Hendry. If you remember, both Mike Santana and Joe Hendry was a part of the triple threat against Trick Williams at Slammiversary. But in this main event match, both Mike Santana and Joe Hendry were looking to rebound after their loss to Trick Williams from this past TNA Slammiversary. But in this match, which lasted 14 minutes to be exact, we saw a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of back and forth as both men made counter after counter. We saw Santana countering out of potential standing ovation from Joe Hendry. We saw Joe Hendry countering out of a spin the block potential from Santana. And then all of a sudden, as we saw these back and forth counters, an absolutely great match between these two guys, the match ends with Mike Santana getting the quick pinfall cover on Joe Hendry, and 1, 2, 3, Mike Santana gets the victory, as now it's Joe Hendry's second straight time that he's getting pinned. And it looks like after when the match was done, they shook hands. This was the passing of the torch, because right now it looks like Joe Hendry is getting ready to leave TNA. This is his contract year, and of course, most importantly, this will be the time where he makes the big step, the big move to WWE. But right now, this is, I guess you could say, a holding pattern for Joe Hendry as he is transitioning into WWE. So this is where he's giving back. Mike Santana will be a future TNA World Champion, and it was just great to see they shake hands after this match was over. Now we took it to what took place this past Sunday, live from the Portobello Town Hall in Edinburgh, Scotland, as we had Joe Hendry, a part of this Discovery Wrestling event called We Believe. Joe Hendry was part of 2 matches on this card, and the first match was a match of Joe Hendry versus Judas Gray for the Discovery Wrestling Openweight Championship. Judas defeated Hendry by pinfall to retain the Discovery Wrestling Openweight Championship. Then in the main event, Joe Hendry was featured in a tag team championship match alongside, I guess you could say, the self-proclaimed cowboy of Discovery Wrestling, aka The Gambler, also known as Dave Conrad, as they defeated The Good Time. And this was the victory for Joe Hendry and Mr. Dave Conrad to become the new Discovery Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Also to note that this will be Joe Hendry's final appearance in Discovery Wrestling at Edinburgh, Scotland, because, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Joe Hendry is very busy and he will be making the transition to WWE, as he will not be making all of these indie wrestling appearances like how he used to. And now we get to what's going to be taking place this weekend in East Rutherford, New Jersey, as Joe Hendry will be part of the SummerSlam takeover in New Jersey, and he will be part of the meet and greet where you get a chance to meet with Joe Hendry, take pictures with him, and get an autograph, and get to see Joe Hendry. Now, with that being said, could there be a possibility that Joe Hendry could make an appearance at SummerSlam? Because all you have to do is say his name. He made an appearance at the Royal Rumble. He made an appearance at WrestleMania 41. This coming weekend, SummerSlam is the third big PLE in WWE, and there's a possibility if you just say his name, he might just appear. Always remember to believe, say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
Thanks for
DJ,
listening to the
so much.
WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show. Or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you
I do really
next time.
appreciate it. And those of you that, again, say this every week, if you're not watching TNA and you want to see the beginnings of Joe Hendry and you want to see what they've got going on, this partnership with WWE and TNA continues to bear fruit, I would highly recommend you go check it out. I do. And if not, you can always stay tuned here to the Joe Hendry Report, as DJ will keep you updated every single week on what is going on over there with Joe Hendry and his stories. Now, I'll put this out there because I just saw, as I was listening to you, DJ, I was scrolling X, and I did see something on X that I wish I didn't, because, spoiler, okay, this is a spoiler for night 2. If you don't want to know about a big return, then you've been warned. Okay, you're still here. So I just saw, I don't know the context of why he's back, but Brock Lesnar is back. Ponytail and all. I didn't see why. I didn't see what the scenario was. I would imagine it's during John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And I'm sure the crowd went crazy. I do have my reservations as to what Brock Lesnar has to do with any of this. Now, again, this is just me from a quick glimpse of seeing Brock Lesnar coming out for SummerSlam. I don't know the context in which he was out. I don't know why he would come out for for Cody Rhodes and John Cena. I don't know what beef he has with either of them. I'm not forgetting, am a little bit salty as to why WWE never told us that why Brock Lesnar a couple of years ago attacked Cody Rhodes. Remember that? Brock Lesnar attacked Cody Rhodes. We never got an explanation. And I guess we're still not going to get one 2 years later. I don't know who he attacked or why, but what he has to do with John Cena and or Cody Rhodes, I don't know. If anything, he should be involved with the Seth Rollins storyline and the Roman Reigns storyline in that tag team match. You would think that was a little bit more of a relevant scenario with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar's previous connection, the advocate to the tribal chief, the advocate to the wise man to the Oracle. He's taken on many roles, and that would have been a little more interesting. Maybe they're saving that for down the line. But so Brock Lesnar has returned, and I don't know as to how or why. I'm going to watch through the match and see how that all plays out. Damn it, I hate social media. That's why I got to just watch these damn things live in real time, so nothing can be spoiled. But yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure I'll have much more to say about Brock Lesnar's return. Night 2, maybe there's more returns I haven't seen yet. Very possible, The Rock, or maybe nobody else, but there it is. So night 2 review coming to tomorrow. Maybe even some video for those of you on Patreon. I appreciate all of you guys. And go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Go to Apple Podcasts and go ad-free there too. And I'm going to get my ass going to watch SummerSlam now. I gotta go through it, and because I haven't seen anything of night 2. Again, travel will screw you up like that. So, alrighty. Enjoy night 1, night 2, and we'll be in touch tomorrow with a lot more to talk about, I'm sure, as night 2 wraps up. Talk to you then.